Custom test was a feature that was available in version 2, but it's also here, and it's really cool and then enhanced as well. So, for example, you can title your test. You can provide certain instructions. You can even control the font, the size, bold, italic, centered, right aligned, and you can customize all that. You can have it in a grid, or you can have it horizontal, or vertical, different rows and columns, and paper size. It's really fun. But, for example, I can go into here, Unit 1. I can select this question here, this question here, and also any special questions that you add. And I'm going to go into Unit 2. And select here this question, and Unit 3, beat count, and select that, and Unit 4, for example, measure count, just select either that. And then you basically go to the question order, and I can even move things around. Say I want to move this down here. And then I click to print preview, and there it's made my test. It dates it with today's date. And this is a multiple choice test, so at the end it'll give you the multiple choice answers as well. And then you can print that out from here. So that's custom test, so you can select any of the lessons that you create in there. So this is a really nice feature of Essential Music Theory and the things that the teachers like the most. Take you back to the main menu. There's basically a quick tutorial if you need any help with that. Talks about the curriculum, the customization, maintenance, administration, general information about the course, the credits, and then this is how you register the product. Actually, this version has been upgraded to 3.04. This is serial number that you have, so you can upgrade. It takes you to the website, and you'll be able to see if there's a newer version out on the website. And then let's see what else we have. As far as maintenance, so you can go in here and you can change your password. So in this case, in whatever country I'm located in. Then you can maintain various user information here. You can control what lesson plans those users get. You can control what score groups that those users are, and you can also do maintenance groups. I want to show you a little bit about group maintenance because it's kind of explain this a little more. These are the various groups. So we have students, teachers, system, etc. Every student can only be in one group. So if they're not associated with a specific class, they're going to show up in students. But say, for example, we have multiple 6th grade classes. So you have Mrs. Jones' 6th grade class, Mrs. Smith, Mrs. Brown. But you can also create a score group where you can group all the 6th grade classes together. So if I click on this, you will see that they're all, these 3 6th grade classes are all associated with this 6th grade score group. If I want to do that with 7th grade, for example, I clicked on 7th. There's nobody here. I could just click on Ms. James, and I can link group, and Mr. Williams, link group, and Ms. Miller, link group. And I can put all those into the, and say OK. And so that allows you to see various scores together. Then as far as profile maintenance, this was one of the features that we talked about, is that you have the ability to control access to certain things. So the lowest level of access and ability are students. So as far as what can they do, they can browse lessons. They can't add lessons or modify or delete lessons. They can browse lesson plans. You can see all this. Very limited controls. It's mostly just browsing. They can browse their own score. They can't browse other scores. They can add their own scores, and they can print their own scores. And they can maintain their password, but that's about it. But as you go up and you can see educator, you can see that educators have the ability to do that. And so basically you can go and control that access if you want to change anything. You can add a different profile type as well, or you can delete a certain profile. I think that's about it in terms of Essentials in Music Theory. I want to talk a little bit about the pricing. So you're familiar with that. I can also send you guys a link where you can pull down a PDF of our theory brochure, which has not only essential music, but for some other information as well. And the way it is priced is we sell either Volume 1 by itself or the complete together. You can't just buy 2 or 3 as separate items. You buy the Volume 1 or the complete. So the student pricing on Volume 1, which is just the ability to go through lessons. You don't have any of the customization options. That was the thing I wanted to show you. I wanted to log in. See all these buttons that show up as I'm logged in as the administrator in this case. I'm going to log in as a different student, and so you can see what shows up. So, okay, I'm going to log in as this student. You see, none of the other options are available. Those boxes that showed up when I was logged in as Andrew Surmani don't show up when I'm logged in as a student. So I don't have the ability, all the customization that was over here when I was logged in as the educator is no longer here. All the maintenance, all that stuff. So you can just see that's all controlled by the privileges. So so that's what will be available to students in like the network version, or if they just buy the student box edition. So the Volume 1 Student Box Edition is $29.99 for Volume 1, or it's $59.99 for Complete. So you can see if you're going to go through more than one level, it's going to be the same price to buy the Complete anyway. So that's just the student. Now it would be these kinds of functions that they would have the ability to use. The Educator version in the Box Edition, which runs on one computer at unlimited users, is $129 for Volume 1, or $229.99 for the Complete. And once again, that's basically one version on one educator computer with unlimited number of students. So obviously they can just work one at a time at that point. Then we have Network Edition. And the way the network is, they're based on simultaneous users. Every network version comes with 5 simultaneous users. So the Volume 1 5 simultaneous user network is $349, and you can buy additional users, simultaneous users, for $20 for each user. The Complete network for 5 users is $599 for 5 users, and you can buy additional users for $40 each user. And we're currently working on a web subscription version. Hopefully that'll be available after the first of the year, where educators will be able to get an annual subscription for about $129.99, and then students per user will be $19.99. But that's not available as of right now. It's being currently worked on. And then we also have upgrading from version 1 to 3 or version 2 to 3, depending on what you have, as long as you're a registered user.
Andrew, can I just interrupt for a second? Is there any option for an actual student to get it for their home at a discounted rate? And intriguing if this is maybe an annual thing that you can get. Any thoughts on that?
If they can buy it as a student by themselves, not associated with the teachers?
Yes, and in some way link up so that their results at home could be sent to the teacher, I suppose.
That will only be available as part of the web version.
Right.
Yeah. So with the web version, the teacher will have the ability to buy a bunch of subscriptions by themselves, or they can also just make each student go buy their own subscription. That's the way it's going to be set up. I think what I'm going to do at this point, I'm a little early, but I'm going to come back over and open this up for questions and discussion if we have any here.
Sure, I can unmute everybody. I think everybody is now unmuted.
How do I get that?
And in fact, if you just stop the screen sharing, which is probably in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you may or may not want to... Yeah, that's it. So now everybody wants to talk at once. It might be easier if you raise your hand.
Saturday Farmers Market now.
It might be easiest if you raise your hand if you have a question, and then I can be the moderator.
Looks like Frank has a question.
Yes, could you
Farmers Market
go through the registration process for a student? You're going to set up a class and work through that process online so we can see it?
Are you talking about for the web version?
Right. We have a network version 5 user, and I want to try to set it up for my high school unit.
Andrew, just a second. I'm going to mute everybody again for a second. That's a little bit, there's an awful lot of noise. If you are using a computer headset, you should have a little floating black icon. You should be able to mute yourself and then unmute yourself when you want to ask a question, because there's an awful lot of noise. If you guys have discovered how to raise your hand, there is a little icon at the bottom where you should be able to raise in your participant window. I wonder if anybody wants to try and do that, to raise your hand if you have a specific question.
Well, we have Frank has his hand raised. We should probably...
Yes, I think Frank probably raised that a little bit earlier.
Yeah. But we couldn't hear very well, so if Frank could repeat his question, that would be great.
Oh, I think that was a lot earlier, actually, right at the beginning. Let me just try unmuting everybody again. Let's see if we have the same fun and games. Let's try. It's still very noisy. A reminder, try and mute yourself on your floating little window. That's a little bit better. Somebody's got a lot of noise going. Who wants to try and ask a question to Andrew? Don't be coy. Is everybody stunned into submission?
I have to everybody in the chat window a link to the our new theory and technique resource guide, which has all the pricing and descriptions. It's not just essentially music theory, but any of our technique and theory. But it does have the pricing for the book and the software and all that. And also, just to let everybody know, my email address is asurmani, ASURMANI, @alfred.com. So if you have any specific questions, please feel free to ask that to me.
That's great. It sounds a little bit like everybody is, as I say, Andrew, everybody is stunned into submission on this.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Brian.